Chapter 1. What is Bitcoin? Satoshi Nakamoto was the software developer who proposed the use of Bitcoins as a payment method. This system was generated with the intention of producing an electronic currency that can be transferred almost instantly, with minimal fees for every transaction, and one that is autonomous from any central supervision. How does the Bitcoin protocol work? A person cannot mix indefinite Bitcoins. The Bitcoin protocol states that there will only be 21 million Bitcoins to be produced by the miners. These Bitcoins will then be subdivided into smaller bits. The smallest bit is called Satoshi, named after the Bitcoin founder, and the divisible amount is 100 millionth of a Bitcoin. Bitcoin currency is based on mathematical formulas unlike our conventional currency that is based on gold and silver. Mathematics is used to generate or mine Bitcoins. The software programs containing these mathematical formulas are made available to everyone. This means that anyone can access these formulas to ensure that it serves its purpose. Characteristics of Bitcoins. There are significant characteristics or features of Bitcoins that separate them from conventional currency we have today. 1. Bitcoins are not centralized. No central authority can control the Bitcoin network. Even a large bank cannot trifle the fiscal regulations and procedures governing the Bitcoin network. All machines used in mining and processing Bitcoins and other transactions work together and compose a fraction of the Bitcoin network. This means that even if a fraction of the network goes offline, the money will still flow. 2. The setup is quick and easy. A person who wants to join the Bitcoin network can set up the Bitcoin address in seconds, unlike conventional banks where one has to go through long queues of people just to open an account. There are no restrictions or other unnecessary requirements and documents to be submitted to the Bitcoin network, and there are no fees to be paid as well. 3. Privacy or anonymity. Bitcoin users enjoy the privilege of holding multiple addresses which are not connected to other personal information such as addresses and names. 4. Transparent. Your identity may be anonymous to the network and the public, but the transactions you make and the number of Bitcoin stored in your address are definitely recorded. The blockchain records everything. The public will be able to see all the activities in the given Bitcoin address, but they will not be able to know that the address is yours, for example. Some users utilize different Bitcoin addresses so they can avoid putting all the Bitcoins in just one address. That way, they can enjoy the benefits of being anonymous. 5. Minimal transaction fees. Bitcoin does not charge international transfers, unlike the banks we have for conventional currencies. 6. Procedures are quick and almost instant. When you have to send money internationally, there are times when you have to wait for a few days before the bank can process the transaction and transfer it to another account. With Bitcoin Network, your money is transferred anywhere in just a matter of minutes or almost in an instant depending on the location. Transactions are very quick. 7. Bitcoins cannot be repudiated. One cannot reclaim his Bitcoins once they are sent. They can only get it back when the recipient sends it back to the sender. Otherwise, it is gone for good. Storing Bitcoin safely. Bitcoins are stored in Bitcoin wallets. This is basic and the primary requirement before one can enter the Bitcoin network and start with transactions. Now, just like the conventional currency, Bitcoins need to be stored safely as well. Here are some tips on how to store Bitcoin safely. 1. Wallet encryption. Just like any other online accounts, Bitcoin wallets need to be secured with an encrypted password. Encryption makes access by the owner possible and easy, but very difficult for other people. Malware makes it possible for your computer to be hacked by thieves, as they can log keystrokes for finding out your password, so it should be encrypted. 2. Wallet needs to be backed up. Wallet owners have their own private keys, but sometimes keys could be misplaced or forgotten. And so it is important that wallets should be backed up so you can at least have a copy of your private keys when needed. Backing up your wallet and storing it in different places makes it very secured from prying eyes, especially when some transactions are accessible to public. 3. Cold storage wallets may be your best option. If you are very careful and reluctant to store your wallets through digital means, take it offline and use the cold storage option. This option makes it impossible for online hackers to steal your Bitcoins, as your wallet is not accessible online, no matter what. Cold storage is very ideal for storing bigger bulks of Bitcoin fortune. When you need to spend online, all you have to do is transfer a fair bit of Bitcoin to your addresses online, and you can do transactions as normal as possible. Cold storage also saves your Bitcoin fortune in case of computer problems or when your phone is lost. 4. Paper wallets can also be used if you are not comfortable using digital wallets altogether. Chapter 2. Where do Bitcoins come from? And can I get rich by mining them? Bitcoin is becoming a very popular and practical method of earning money in the digital world. Today, where everything can be done online, using a digital currency that is decentralized and has purchasing power and monetary value can be an extremely feasible option to purchase goods and earn money at the same time without having to shell out cold cash. There are 3 ways to earn money with Bitcoins. First, you can earn by mining Bitcoins. Then you can do some buying and selling of goods using Bitcoins. And third, by trading Bitcoins on an exchange. All these methods will be discussed further in details as you move along the chapters of this audiobook. Here, you can find the answers to your questions concerning Bitcoins and the role it plays in the digital market. Even a beginner can definitely earn good money using Bitcoins, and this audiobook seeks to help beginners discover the secrets within the Bitcoin network. This audiobook will also provide tips on how to sell Bitcoins, how to buy Bitcoins, how to store them, and how to earn money using the 3 given methods earlier. Bitcoin transactions will also be explained further for better understanding, which is very important to all beginners. Furthermore, readers will find interesting bits of information regarding the goods and services that can be purchased through Bitcoins. Mining Bitcoins gets more difficult as time passes by. You have to invest a lot of time and effort, and you have to buy good quality computers so you can mine effectively. There are people who certainly get rich by mining Bitcoins, and you can certainly be one too. Mining procedures will be discussed in the next chapter. All these methods will be discussed further in details as you move along the chapters of this audiobook. Here you can find the answers to your questions concerning Bitcoins and the role it plays in the digital network. Even a beginner can definitely earn good money using Bitcoins, and this audiobook seeks to help beginners discover the secrets within the Bitcoin network. Now, to answer the question as to where Bitcoins came from. The answer is not accurate as to how and where it came from. Not so much information is available regarding the origin of Bitcoins, but according to some enthusiasts, Bitcoins were the product created by Satoshi Nakamoto. Nakamoto was a software developer, and he proposed a form of electronic payment which can be transferred instantly from one electronic account to another with very minimal fees. He created the use of a digital currency to avoid supervision from central financing authorities. This is the reason why Bitcoins came into existence. Can I get rich mining Bitcoins? There are a lot of success stories attributed to Bitcoins. Although some people question the volatility of this digital currency, the stability is already established. The current value may be lower now than before, but the industry remains a productive ground for Bitcoin enthusiasts as there is a significant return of investment possibility. Some people actually became very successful in Bitcoin mining. Here are their brief success stories for inspiration. 1. Andreas Kinnemar, Marcus Erlandson, and Sam Cole. These are the people who established the company KNC Miner, which is responsible for creating special computers used in mining by a lot of Bitcoin enthusiasts. In fact, they gained a profit of $3 million in just 4 days. Each piece of equipment is priced at $7,000. 2. Dave Carlson, the owner of the current biggest Bitcoin mining operation in North America. His story is somehow tagged as a typical Cinderella story, from rags to riches. News reports cited that his company has the capacity to earn $8 million a month. 3. Zayed Hosni, a web developer in a big group of French people sharing the same interest, computers and internet. He is the creator and owner of a web platform known as the HTML5 Ninja. 4. Christopher Roque. He is a Norwegian man who reportedly invested $26 on Bitcoins back when it was still not very popular and cheap. He had forgotten about his $26 investment when the Bitcoin industry boomed and became popular in the media. When he saw the news on TV, he went back to his computer and logged in to his forgotten account, and there he found that he has 51,000 Bitcoins in his wallet. He was really stunned because 51,000 pieces of Bitcoins is equivalent to 5 million kroner, and that is $850,000. These are just a few of the many success stories attributed to Bitcoins. Who knows? You might be the next millionaire waiting to be discovered. Take the risk, get the chance, and you will definitely find the opportunity in the Bitcoin industry. So don't just ask yourself whether you can be rich in mining Bitcoins. You have to believe in yourself that you will succeed in this endeavor. You have to invest in good quality equipment so you can start right, and the rest, when coupled with hard work and determination, will soon follow. Chapter 3. How to Mine Bitcoins Effectively. One way to earn good money is by mining Bitcoins. So, how does Bitcoin mining work? Conventional money is produced and generated by the central banks, and people earn it in so many ways. If the government needs more money, they just print more money. This system is different than the Bitcoin network. Bitcoins are discovered using computer software that contains mathematical formulas. Users who participate in this network mine for Bitcoins by contending each other. Every transaction within the Bitcoin network is recorded. When people send Bitcoins to each other, the general ledger will trace it and record it to keep track of every transaction. These transactions are collected within a given period of time and compiled in a list called the block. The confirmation of each transaction will go to the miners, and they will document them in the GL. The long list of blocks composes the blockchain or the general ledger. Here, all transactions are transparent so everyone can see the activities that take place in every Bitcoin address. New blocks created are added to the blockchain, and updates will be given to everyone who participates in the network to maintain transparency of transaction. The miners ensure that the blockchain remains uncorrupted and intact. This is the reason why the GL, or the blockchain, is trusted by everyone inside the network. As each block is produced or collected, the miners take all the information and they turn it into something else by applying mathematical formulas into it. The processed product is known as the hash, as it is composed of random letters and numbers. The hash is stored at the end of the blockchain along with the block. It is important to note that each hash is unique from each other. It may be easy to produce out of collected blocks, but without knowledge of the mathematical formulas, it is not possible to know what the data is all about. Changing just one character in a Bitcoin block will definitely change its hash totally. The hash that miners add to the block functions like a wax seal. Each hash is produced using the hash of the former block. This way, the chain of blocks are ensured to be legitimate, and once it's tampered, the hash of the succeeding blocks will all be changed completely, creating a chaotic domino effect. All the blocks with changed hash will then be tagged as fake, so tampering is very noticeable. Coin competition. To avoid tampering of blocks, miners seal off each block using mathematical formulas. Miners will get a reward of 25 bitcoins for every successful hash created, and then the blockchain will be updated for everyone to know. Old hash will not be accepted, so each miner has to abide with the Bitcoin protocol, known as proof of work. In order for them to create a different hash every time, miners need to use nonce, which is a random piece of data. Oftentimes, nonce does not work, and so miners have to try many times to find out a nonce that works. Once they are able to discover a nonce that works, then they are able to create a successful hash, and they earn 25 bitcoins as a reward. How are bitcoins sent? Each participant within the Bitcoin network needs a private key and a Bitcoin address. A private key refers to the sequence of numbers and letters which is kept personal and highly confidential. This is like a passcode or a PIN to your bank account. The Bitcoin address, on the other hand, is available to the public and is quite similar to your conventional bank account. The only difference is that Bitcoin addresses can be set up without any hassles and requirements, unlike the bank account. Here's a typical scenario. Person A wants to send Person B some bitcoins. Person A then uses his private key to compose a message including the source of transaction, amount, and the recipient's Bitcoin address and signs it. Person A sends the bitcoins from his Bitcoin wallet to a larger Bitcoin network, and the miners will then verify if the transaction is legitimate or not. Once verified, the miners will place the transaction into a block and solve it eventually. The transaction usually lasts up to 10 minutes as the miners process the data. For low-value transactions, merchants process requests right away. But for more important online transactions, for example, it is expected to take a few minutes before one can take advantage of the services paid for or download the digital goods. If in case the amount of input and output does not match, Bitcoin network will create two separate transactions. For example, if Person A wants to send 2.5 bitcoins to Person B, and there is no exact amount inside Person A's Bitcoin address, then Person A uses the 3 Bitcoin transaction and sends it to Person B with the specific amount of 2.5. The network will then create a separate Bitcoin address to hold Person A's change of 0.5. Chapter 4. Bitcoin Exchanges. Another way to earn money through bitcoins is to buy them. Now, the question is, how can you buy bitcoins? Well, there are two ways to buy bitcoins. First is through exchange or trading, and the second way is to buy them directly from people. Payment method can be done through credit or debit cards, cash or wire transfer, and for some, you can also pay with the same cryptocurrency. Credit card payment or payment through PayPal is still not popular, though, because Bitcoin transaction is mainly electronic. It is not easy to prove that there is an actual transfer of goods between two individuals, and transactions can be reversed easily with a phone call to the card company. So, here are the things that you need to do in buying Bitcoins. 1. A Bitcoin wallet is basic. Before buying Bitcoins, you need to provide yourself with a Bitcoin wallet. It is similar to our conventional bank account. You can either store it using the web services or on your computer hard drive. Make sure to employ good security services against hackers for your web-based wallet. If you store it locally, it is better if you always back up your files in case your drive becomes corrupted. 2. Online wallets or exchanges. If you plan to engage in regular speculation and trading, the best option for you is to have a wallet or exchange. It is recommended if you do not mind long procedures of identification and if you have no need of anonymity. Most countries require everyone to meet the requirements of anti-money laundering and know your customer principles. Some of the largest trading exchanges are BTCE, China's BTC, OKCoin, and Huobi, and the U.S. Bitstamp and Kraken. After the account setup, you need to link your new exchange account and the existing bank account. Then you can move your funds from one account to the other through wire transfer. A fee is usually required to do that, and some exchanges also permit personal deposit through their human teller. International transfer usually entails higher fees and long delays, and some exchanges require bank transactions from that particular country only. Although exchanges are one of the best options in buying Bitcoins, it is important to note that there is no account insurance once the exchange goes bankrupt or is robbed by the hackers. This is because they are not regulated, as most banks are. Take note that Bitcoins are not officially recognized as a currency in most part of the world, so in case of theft and security issues, your money is not guaranteed safe. It is a must to ensure that your bank is Bitcoin friendly, as there are banks that refuse to process transfers when Bitcoins are concerned. 3. Over-the-counter trades, face-to-face. The OTC or FTF trade is the best option if you want to remain anonymous and if you want to avoid bank hassles. It is also recommended if you live in the city because it is easier to buy Bitcoins from a local seller. You can visit local Bitcoin site for this kind of transaction. Protection is also provided especially for bigger and more important transactions. It is better to meet in a public place as it is safer, and make sure that you always have access to your Bitcoin wallet and internet connection so you can confirm the transaction. In case you feel uncomfortable in meeting face-to-face, check your area if there is a group meeting at meetup.com. There are also some places in the big cities where Bitcoin members meet through events called Satoshi Squares, where you can just walk in, look around, buy Bitcoins, and leave. Group meetings are generally safer, but you will not be able to enjoy total anonymity. 4. Investment trust. There is a trust that exclusively invests in Bitcoins, and this is the BIT or Bitcoin Investment Trust. This is a good option if you do not prefer to store large quantity of Bitcoins and buy. BIT utilizes a modern and high-tech protocol to safely store Bitcoins for their shareholders or investors. Reading Bitcoin exchange rates. Miners and Bitcoin network participants should know how exchanging rates in the Bitcoin industry works. It is not like the conventional currency we use because in the Bitcoin industry, there are only two currencies you have to deal with. The two most common and widely mined currencies are SHA-256 and the Scrypt, SCRYPT. In order to know how exchange rates to conventional currency work, miners and Bitcoin network participants need to know a few reliable websites that can be used for calculating profitability. Parameters such as hash rate, equipment cost, power supply consumption, and the ongoing price of your Bitcoin need to be entered on the profitability calculators so you would know how long it will take for your investment to be paid back. Some websites made some tests using the profitability calculators of two mining systems. The one mentioned above was used in computing for the GPU Scrypt mining rig, and for the SHA-256 currency, ASIC miner, the one from the Butterfly Lab in the UK was used. Considering the cost of electricity consumption per kilowatt hour, the recommendations and profits presented by the following sites are as follows. Bitcoin-specific calculators. Genesis block, $1.20 a day for every Bitcoin. Bitcoin X, $1.42 a day. Multi-currency calculators. CoinWars, SHA-256, $1.14 a day. Scrypt, 39.13 per day per Dogecoin. Dustcoin, SHA-256, 1.43 a day per Frycoin. Scrypt, $31.05 a day per Dogecoin. Chapter 5. Capital Gains from Bitcoin. The third way to earn money using Bitcoins is by selling them. Buying Bitcoins is more straightforward than selling. So when you decide to sell your Bitcoins, you need to consider a few things. First, you need to decide on the method that is more practical and convenient for you. Second, you have to know the disadvantages and good points of the options you chose. Is it face-to-face selling, or online selling? A. Online Bitcoin selling. This is the most common way of selling and trading Bitcoins. Here are some ways to sell your Bitcoins online. 1. Direct trade with the buyer and connection is facilitated by the intermediary. Usually, the website is the intermediary and the seller has to register and post a sale on the website. The website will then alert the seller if there is an interested Bitcoin buyer. 2. Online exchange, including an exchange company instead of an individual person. The exchange acts like an intermediary. The seller will undergo identification, then he can place a sell order stating the type of currency being sold, the amount sold, or the volume and the unit price that you are selling. Once a buyer is found, the exchange will process the transaction and they will credit the currency to your account. 3. Trade between Bitcoin sellers and those who want to acquire cryptocurrency using their debit or credit cards. Some marketplaces online bring together people with complementary needs, like those who want to purchase goods using their Bitcoin and those who want to acquire Bitcoins using their credit cards or debit cards. Verification of identity. Identification requirements are not so strict when it comes to buying Bitcoins, but in selling Bitcoins, it is a different story. Bitcoin markets require a lot of documents from sellers for proof of identity. It is therefore advised to complete all the requirements the first time you sign up to the site, so there will not be any more problems when you decide to sell Bitcoins. When you sell Bitcoins, provide 2 scanned documents or uploaded copies of your utility bills containing your address and name with your valid ID photo. B. Face-to-face Bitcoin selling. The easiest and fastest way to transfer digital currency is by selling Bitcoins in person. You only need to scan a QR code using the phone of the buyer and accept the payment or cash and the transaction is completed, just like that. If your relatives or other family members would like to buy Bitcoins from you, just have them set up their Bitcoin wallet and send them your Bitcoins and collect their payment. As simple as that. When selling Bitcoins, here are some of the things you need to be aware of. 1. Price. Before you decide to sell, make sure that the price is agreed upon by both parties, buyer and seller. You have to decide on the rate that best works for both of you. To calculate the price, you can either refer to the price used by the major Bitcoin exchange or to use a mobile application. There are sellers, however, who apply a certain percentage on top of the rates to cover anonymity premium and convenience cost. Prices are also varied from one country to another, so it is important to be aware of the fluctuations as well. 2. Safety. During meetups, it is best to do it with a trusted friend or companion and do it in a public place. 3. Local Bitcoins. If it is more convenient for you, it is also a good option to try Local Bitcoin's website so you can advertise yourself as a Bitcoin seller. Once you have established a good reputation, people will go to you to buy Bitcoins, making it quite easy for you to earn money. Taxes and Bitcoins. Bitcoins are treated like a property by the Internal Revenue Service and not a currency. This is solely for tax purposes. The rules that govern barter transaction in stocks will be applied on Bitcoin transactions as well. There are now income tax liabilities for Bitcoin investors to deal with. IRS chose to treat Bitcoins as properties and not currency to reduce the transactions made using such digital currencies. For every $2 coffee bought, there is $1 capital gain for the drinker, and the shop owner incurs $2 in gross taxable income. If you are a Bitcoin investor, you will be treated as a stock investor. This means that Bitcoins kept for more than a year before being sold will have lower tax rates. Property sold within a year is at 43.4% top rate, but if it is sold after a year, it becomes 23.8%. IRS need to ensure that investors play by the rules and that everything is controlled when it comes to digital currency transactions. If the investor incurs losses, tax law permits the taxpayer to deduct capital losses from capital gains. As much as $3,000 is allowed to be subtracted from ordinary income, if applicable by law. Capital gains. Bitcoins are treated as capital gains, and as such, losses will not be easier to deduct. However, when it comes to Bitcoin dealers, there will be different rules to be applied which cannot permit treatment as capital gain. Miners will have to report their income equal to the value of their daily earnings the moment they are mined. This earning will be treated as taxable income. If mined as part of a business deal, payroll taxes will have to be paid as well. The manner of reporting the information to the IRS is very similar to how stock transactions are reported to the agency, including but not limited to the payments made to independent contractors. However, there is danger that is waiting to be discovered here. Joshua Black said that the IRS is trying to avoid the creation of an electronic black market which is similar to the current cash economy. Mr. Blank is a tax law professor at New York University. How rules are applied. Rules cover past and future transactions and tax returns. This means that there will be an option that offers penalty relief to those who were not able to file, and also those who failed to report the transactions and were underpaid. Digital currency transactions will have to be governed carefully, and taxpayers will have to be guided accordingly. Taxpayers need to know how to report losses and capital gains to avoid tax avoidance. Chapter 6. Bitcoin Growth and Trends. With the growing popularity of the Bitcoin network, more and more merchants start to accept Bitcoin currency as a form of payment for goods and services sold online and in physical stores. Before, it was quite difficult and almost impossible to find a merchant that accepted Bitcoins. But today, even big international companies recognize Bitcoin currency as a form of payment system. Although it is not yet globally recognized legally, Bitcoin currency has shaped the digital world we have today. So, what can you buy with Bitcoins? 1. Physical goods using e-commerce sites. Computers and other electronic gadgets can be bought using Bitcoins through online commerce sites. Dell is in partnership with a website known as Coinbase, announcing that it is now accepting Bitcoin as a mode of payment. Overstock. A major retailer is the first to accept Bitcoin that offers electronics, jewelry, and furniture. Although the prices are in dollars, the option for BTC on the checkout page is available to Bitcoin users. As of today, Bitcoin purchases are limited to U.S. Bitcoin users, but this is definitely going to change in the near future. The first Bitcoin ATM in Scotland was also launched in May by a company named CEX as it initiated its Bitcoin-only payment system. You can also buy flowers using Bitcoins through 1-800-Flowers.com, which is a New York-based gift and flower shop in partnership with Coinbase. Other e-commerce sites that accept Bitcoin are BitcoinShop.us, which offers products like watches and air conditioners and ships to people within the United States. Air Baltic, which is a Latvian airline, also started accepting cryptocurrency mode of payment for basic class fares, not including Taiwan, Malaysia, Vietnam, Russia, India, Japan, China, Iceland, Indonesia, Lebanon, and Jordan. Travel booking websites also started to accept Bitcoin sales on flights, hotel bookings to at least 200,000 hotels, and Railway Amtrak through their platforms. Even tickets for London shows and musicals can now be bought using Bitcoins online. Coffee and pet grooming, as well as Persian shoes and bags, can also be purchased online using Bitcoins. 2. Physical stores. The NBA franchise Sacramento Kings accepts Bitcoins for payments for jerseys, caps, hot dogs, popcorn, beer, and tickets. Bitcoin currency will be accepted online and in their home court, Sleep Train Arena. A large chain of jewelry in the U.S. known as Reed's Jewelers also accepts Bitcoin for payment. The California soccer club San Jose Earthquakes integrated Bitcoin currency at their stadium starting May of the year 2014. Coinbase is the payment processor, and Bitcoins are used to purchase tickets and other merchandise sold in the stadium gift shop. 3. Property and hotels. Cryptocurrency also has penetrated the travel and leisure communities, with Expedia leading the innovation towards accepting bitcoins as a mode of payment for all bookings of hotels, thereby making it the first prominent travel and leisure company to accept cryptocurrency. Expedia flight bookings will follow suit if everything goes well with the initiated program. In Brooklyn, New York, a famous hotel chain, Holiday Inn Hotel, also launched their pilot program on cryptocurrency. Reservations made online, in person, or by phone are payable with bitcoins. The first UK firm to also accept bitcoins as a form of payment was CAI Capital. 4. Restaurants and bars. If you are looking for some restaurants and bars that accept bitcoins as mode of payment, you can check the bitcoin.travel website and you will not be disappointed. The site offers numerous places like accommodations, beauty salons, bars, apartments, and attractions around the world that accept bitcoins. The Pimberry Tavern in London is one of the many places that accept bitcoin payments. In Sydney, Australia, the Old Fitzroy is a pub to visit. And in Tokyo, the Pink Cow is one of the best in town that accepts cryptocurrency payment. In the Netherlands, almost all of the businesses along the two canal-side streets found in the center of Hague started to collect bitcoins as a form of payment as well. These establishments include an art gallery and 9 restaurants. The aforementioned canal-side streets have apparently changed to Bitcoin Boulevard. 5. Services. When it comes to services, bitcoins can also be used for payment. An example of this is the Dish Network, which is one of the biggest American content providers based in Colorado, with large numbers of subscribers reaching over 14 million. The program for Bitcoin payments has been scheduled to be effective in the third quarter of 2014, but no exact date has been given out yet. Dish Network consists of more than 30,000 employees, and the revenue reported as of last year reached $13.9 billion. Once the Bitcoin program is launched, Dish will be the largest company to accept Bitcoin. Chicago Sun-Times also started accepting Bitcoins as payment in partnership with Coinbase for each subscription. This made the Chicago Sun-Times the first newspaper company to accept Bitcoins as a mode of payment. Education. Can you imagine using Bitcoins to pay for your education? Yes, it is possible. Treehouse, an interactive education specialist based in Florida, started accepting bitcoins for payments on the web developments and design subscription services. The aforementioned firm has 70,000 students to date and was able to raise $24.6 million with support from 6 funding rounds. OkCupid, which is one of the most popular dating and matchmaking sites, just started accepting bitcoin payments in April last year. 7. Technical and web services. It is not surprising to know that Bitcoin Network has been receiving a lot of support from the online community. Bitcoin functions electronically, and participants are required to at least have sufficient technical knowledge and skills. So it is quite expected that Bitcoin has acquired numerous attention from online community services. Some hosting companies offer web services in exchange for some Bitcoins. Another popular website and platform is the WordPress. In exchange for a Bitcoin, WordPress will give you an online blogging presence. Other web service credits for companies like Xbox Live, AirVPN, Spotify, PlayStation Network, and Steam can be purchased through Bitcoin codes online. For domain services, Bitcoins can be paid directly through Namecheap. There are also several VPN providers that accept Bitcoins only as a mode of payment. 8. Bullion trade. Since 2012, Amagi Metals started trading precious metals for Bitcoins. This company sells bullion in exchange for Bitcoins through their e-commerce site, which can be accessed anywhere in the world. Amagi Metals believes Bitcoins are excellent tools in the promotion of the growing interest in financial responsibility. 9. Donations and giveaways. If you have a heart for the less fortunate, you can donate your Bitcoins to some charitable organizations that accept Bitcoins. If you want to reward someone for a very appealing performance or comment, you can give away your Bitcoins as well. Some charitable organizations are Sean's Outpost, which is a shelter for the homeless in Pensacola, Florida, and the Sri Lanka Campaign for Peace and Justice, which is a non-governmental organization focused on their campaign for reconciliation, human rights, and justice in Sri Lanka. Tipping using your Bitcoins is also possible in Reddit. Chapter 7. Bitcoin Speculation and Volatility. As a beginner, there are things that you have to be aware of when you enter the Bitcoin network. This is very important so that you will know what to expect and avoid in cases of untoward incidents. Here are the common problems that you have to be careful of as a beginner. As time increases, so is the difficulty of your currency level. Your tools and equipment will reduce mining shares and earning coins over time. When you enter the Bitcoin protocol, you have to invest in the best equipment that you can afford first so that your chances of being able to mine longer than your counterparts are greater. Long-term profitability is also relevant to the volatility of the currency that you mine. Just like the stock market, when prices suddenly drop, there will only be two options for you. You can either wait until the value of your Bitcoins increases, or you can sell them to other participants. If you choose to wait longer, you have to compensate for the cost of electricity and expenditures by longer mining. Keep calm and be cool. Bitcoin mining is not easy, so expect that you will be under so much stress as you compete with other participants in the Bitcoin network. As temperature increases, the difficulty of mining decreases, so it is always important to keep your tools and equipment cool and the ventilation is sufficient. Beer crates sometimes are used by mining rig builders because airflow is maximized other than using cases of PC. A desktop fan is enough to keep your computer and other kits cool. Anticipate power failures. If you buy a cheap PSU in building a do-it-yourself mining rig, it will not be a practical or smart move. The power supply should be well thought of and should be stable and reliable, because instability in power supply can definitely affect the performance negatively. It can even result to a system crash, so invest in a good quality unit always to avoid downtime. Tips for avoiding downtime. Uninterruptible power supply, or UPS, is recommended so that the miner will not be affected in case of electricity supply cuts. Buy the best quality power supply that is within your budget. Always think that you are losing money when your hardware isn't mining. Change the setting of your mining equipment and have it configured to launch mining session during startup automatically. Some computers and do-it-yourself mining rigs are designed that way, so when the electricity is cut and the equipment reboots, mining will start again automatically. Cost in mining that you might not know about. The ongoing electricity consumption in the rig are some of the costs you have to be aware of when mining. There are other extra expenditures, though. A. Customs and delivery. When you want something delivered at your doorstep from another country, like the Jalapeno ASIC miner, you are surely required to pay a significant amount of euros or dollars to the customs and delivery cost. Check out the cost first before you plan on importing any important item. B. Accessories. When you use computers, you will certainly need some accessories at some point, like adapters or cable wires. So, make sure to plan ahead on what you really need and invest on good quality always. C. Cooling cost. Computers require good ventilation and cooling systems, so apart from your electric bill, you also have to deal with air conditioning cost or fan cost. Bitcoin speculation. When it comes to Bitcoin speculation, experience and knowledge is your best ally. 70 to 90% of the traders are losing money on Bitcoin speculation. Why is this so? Well, we all know that in the game of trade, betting is inevitable. You have to bet against more experienced and more knowledgeable traders. These people have access to the news before you do, and they have colleagues in the industry with more experience and knowledge than both of you. This makes them smarter than you are, and you will certainly end up at the losing end. So if you enter the speculation game, make sure you are fully equipped with knowledge and experience. One has to develop a skill and act like a minority. Do not bring common habits into the betting game. Otherwise, you will be pushed to the edge with the majority, and you will lose. In the Bitcoin industry, there are a lot of beginners who profit from, however. Please be reminded that there are also professionals who have far more experience and knowledge than you. It is impossible to predict in the Bitcoin industry. Just like the stock market, Bitcoin industry is very hard to predict. The market goes up and down irrationally. Even with the use of prediction tools, no one can predict the price accurately. There are times it will be easy to predict, and there are times that it is not what you are expecting at all. Even experienced traders have no idea how to accurately predict the outcome. They are taking risk, just like everyone else in the industry. What this means is that the future can never be predicted accurately just by relying on the results of the past. No wonder traders often say, "No guts, no glory." In the Bitcoin industry, arbitrage is risky. When you buy a Bitcoin from one exchange and decide to sell it for a higher price on a different exchange, that is what is known as arbitrage strategy. This strategy is risky because one has to perform such trade very often to be able to earn a profit. Established markets nowadays only have a couple of cents difference, so it is not much of a profit unless you spend a lot of money. Foreign exchange poses the safest option. And here you have to spot opportunities for a quick trade. Your profit is not dependent on the price decrease or increase. Trades are executed quickly and trade parties are trusted, so there is very limited risk. In Bitcoin industry, however, quick trades come with long confirmation times. It is fatal to have even a single unreliable trading partner, and the exchange can go bankrupt, so it is indeed very risky. Reliability should be at 100%. Unlike the stock exchange, Bitcoin exchanges have multiple dollars in price difference, but it comes with a heavy risk. Do not rely on news too much because it is not very important. When it comes to the Bitcoin industry, news is not very important. The reason? Well, it is actually important and helpful when you have access to the news before it gets online, because that is an opportunity for you to take action long before others can. However, if you do not have access to news straight from the source, such news is no longer that important, as it has been factored out already in the market. This means that professional traders are closer to the news sources than most traders in the industry. Where do Bitcoin enthusiasts get the news? Well, they get it from community forums and social media websites like Twitter. The point is, news is not that reliable because it can be controlled. Media might say that the price of Bitcoin is continuously going down, but the truth of the matter is that it is actually going up. And not everyone knows this except for people who have access to news sources firsthand. It is fortunate that the Bitcoin industry is transparent when it comes to transactions. Everyone can see when the stock is sold and someone bought it. When it comes to transactions, every participant can see what goes on inside the Bitcoin network. There may be some anonymity to protect the users, but everyone can still see the transactions conducted. And that alone is a big help, especially to the beginners. Nothing is free. If you want to earn profits, you have to take the risk. No guts, no glory. Bitcoin mining has been a profitable investment with a return that can be calculated. It is a fixed investment, actually. ASIC Bitcoin miner is profitable and safe if you have cheap electricity and a space to host the miner. Today, however, purchasing such a miner comes with a heavy risk. There are two Bitcoin miner companies that are popular among miners, and those are Black Arrow and Butterfly Labs. As a miner, you have to be careful with this kind of investment. Purchase the miner from a trusted company, as reports state that there are now occasional delays and no refund policy. If you are not the one to take the risk, you will not be able to survive inside the Bitcoin industry. Chapter 8. Bitcoin and Other Cryptocurrencies. Bitcoin is held and created electronically and functions like a digital currency. No one can control the use and circulation of Bitcoins. They are not printed like the normal currency we have today. Bitcoins are generated and produced globally by hundreds or thousands of people who know how to manipulate computers with the use of applications and software that can solve problems mathematically. This category of electronic money is otherwise known as cryptocurrency. Just like ordinary currency, like euros and dollars, Bitcoins are utilized to purchase goods electronically. Bitcoins can also be traded through digital means, just like our conventional currencies. What makes it different from our ordinary currency is that Bitcoins are decentralized. It is normal that central banks control the currency of a certain country, and in that respect, conventional money is centralized and controlled. Bitcoins, on the other hand, is controlled by no one. There is no organization or institution that can control the network of Bitcoins. This means that large banks cannot manipulate the people's money within the Bitcoin network. No one prints it as well because this type of currency is not controlled by any bank. This means that banks cannot impose any rules within the Bitcoin network, and it is also not accountable to the population. Conventional currency is produced, printed, and circulated by the central bank of each country to cover national debt, and this, in a way, can reduce or increase the value of the currency. The Bitcoin network is different. It is digitally produced by people who join the community, or network. This network is distributed and using powerful computing devices or software. Bitcoins are mined. Transactions made using the digital currency are processed within the Bitcoin network, making it an effective payment method. Transactions governing Bitcoins are sent to and from Bitcoin wallets electronically, and signatures are signed digitally for security. The history of transactions can be traced to where the Bitcoins were first created, and everyone within the Bitcoin network knows how the transaction goes. If you are a speculator, you can hold on to your Bitcoins and wait for the prices to go up. But then again, the point of using Bitcoins is to spend it on goods and services. So, when you spend your Bitcoins, how are you supposed to go through the transactions? Bitcoins do not exist, only records of transactions. The interesting part about Bitcoins is that they don't exist. If we are to look inside a certain Bitcoin address, we will not be able to see any digital Bitcoins inside it. When we check out our conventional bank account, we will at least be able to see how many dollars or euros have grown in our account. With Bitcoins, we can only see records of transaction from one address to another, with decreasing or increasing balances. If you ever want to compute for the balance of a particular Bitcoin address, that will not be possible unless you reconstruct the entire book chain and compute it. During transactions, there will be 3 bits of important information recorded. Input. This information contains the Bitcoin address used to send the Bitcoins to another address. Amount. This refers to the amount of Bitcoin sent to a particular Bitcoin address. Output. This information contains the Bitcoin address of the recipient. Transaction fees. There is a corresponding transaction fee sometimes, but not for every transaction. There are different factors affecting transaction fees, and there are also some wallets that let you set manual transaction fees as you deem proper. Any change not returned to the recipient or any transaction not picked up by the receiver is already considered a fee. The Bitcoin will be given to the miner who will be lucky enough to solve it as a reward. As of the moment, there are no receipts given for every transaction. Other cryptocurrencies beside Bitcoins. 1. Litecoin. The total value is $331.5 million. Based on Bitcoin protocol, and this is the second most popular cryptocurrency next to Bitcoins. 2. Peercoin. Total value is $43.6 million. Based on Bitcoin as well, but uses different method of verifying mined coins. 3. Namecoin. Total value is $20.2 million. Not really a currency, but it is designed to control the domain name system used by .bit domain. 4. Quarkcoin. Total value is $16.9 million. It is different from Bitcoin as it has 9 hashes, and Bitcoins only have 1. This is good for security-conscious miners. 5. Primecoin. Total value is at $5.9 million. It is different from all the other altcoins as it does not solve hashes. Instead, mining prime coins involve finding Cunningham chains. 6. NovaCoin. Total value is $5 million. It is a fork of Peercoin, but it is more difficult to mine. It has a maximum total supply of 2 billion NovaCoins, but since the POS is difficult, it is not likely to reach that feat. 7. Feathercoin. Total value is $4.9 million, launched in April of 2013. It is a derivative of Litecoin directly. The mining difficulty is more often adjusted in Feathercoin mining than Litecoin. 8. ZetaCoin. 9. Digital Coin. And 10. Stablecoin. This has been Bitcoin, the ultimate A to Z of profitable Bitcoin trading and mining.